I think one of the most painful things that I went through was having a big number of young people who were very enthusiastic and who had reported in teaching institutions, training institutions, being told that they had to pack up and leave.
Let's move to the education ministry. When you were there, you did a lot of good things, like the 2018 administration of the exams, of the national exam. But I want to pick one thing that we have seen it as an affirmative action for the Somalis: the lowering entry grade for a student to teachers training college to a D. Tell us how you came up with that idea.
Well, you know, I was reading the Constitution. I was the PS in charge of the Constitution. Affirmative action was part of the corrective measures that we needed to take to ensure that our country grew together, it developed together, and that nobody was left behind. And that was the promise that President Uhuru had made at that time. And I think it's the same promise that His Excellency the President has also made, that nobody should be left behind, that we should all move together, we should all be united, we should be a country that is inclusive, even in our diversity. And I felt very, very strongly that if we use the Constitution properly, if we actually allowed for good governance and the rule of law, that nobody would feel that they were being subjected to lower standards. I always also believed strongly that some parts of the country, and it's not just one region, actually, it's a number of regions. I was lucky that I was born in Western, where the standards were quite high, you know. But there are other parts of the country that need more support than others, and that's true of any society. It's true of any country in the world. That additional support may be required for some parts of the country for historical reasons as well, and so I felt that this was an opportunity that had been given to deal with that issue, and it came to a head actually because of the security challenges that we're facing, and the fact that there was movement of teachers all the time from some parts of the country, but also because I went to visit schools in Turkana and in other parts of the country, and I saw what situation they were in. And I felt very strongly that the lack of teachers, the inadequacy of teachers, can be fixed. It can be fixed. If a student with no teacher can still pass an exam and get a D.
Unfortunately, the court had a different opinion and ruled against you.
Well, they didn't rule against me. They ruled against the ministry, because it was something that the ministry had put forward, and that happens when you don't have a clear sight for the whole of government, right? When you don't have a clear line of vision for the whole of government, and parts of government feel that they have much more of a say, or that they understand the situations either better or differently, because the court case was brought about by, and that was, I think, it was general knowledge that it was brought up by people that were in the government itself. Not directly in government, but in organizations that were affiliated to government, right? And so that felt that something that they were used to doing was being changed. And they felt, I think, uncomfortable, although they agreed to it in the beginning. They felt uncomfortable that a decision was being taken that would correct something that they probably didn't want corrected. And I'm really, really glad that now that the ministry has been vindicated in the decision that it took, and that it has come full circle back to where we started. I think one of the most painful things that I went through was having a big number of young people who were very enthusiastic and who had reported in teaching institutions, training institutions, being told that they had to pack up and leave. And it was so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary. They could still have gone through the training, and if you didn't offer them jobs as teachers, they could have done something else, you know, and not have been continuous burden on the community, on the society, on their families. You would have given them something additional that they would have learned. Even if they went in as you know, part-time teachers, or if they went in as BOM teachers, or if they didn't even do that but started their own kindergartens, right, and started teaching, you know, early education to young children who now do not have early education. Actually, in parts of the country, that's not something that happens. And so, you know, they would have, I think, done their country very, very proud. And so it was unfortunate that that happened, but I think that now we can see that we've gone full circle, and I think that decision was always the right one, and it's been now embraced.
I wish the ministry had won that case, because this issue touches our region, the ASAL counties.
Yeah, it's all ASAL, yeah, by the way. It's not just one or two or three. It's ASAL as we understand it. It's more than the 3 counties that you may be referring to.
You also did a very job at the Ministry of Education, but suddenly the president moved you to the sports, where people felt that you are not fit for that docket.
Oh, I loved sports. I loved the Ministry of Sports. I think that I was very lucky, actually. You know, that president himself served in many ministries, so did the current president. The current president served in the Ministry of Education, he served in the Ministry of Agriculture, as you remember. You know, so I think moving from one ministry to the other is a natural way of serving government and in the public service. If you sign up to be in public service, you should sign up for movement. I think it's the only constant that there is. And I enjoyed sports. Actually, sports helped me bring together both foreign and education. I was dealing with young people in sports. They were, you know, the same level as the kids that I was dealing with in primary, kindergarten, secondary, and university, and the diplomacy that I needed from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to negotiate for big events to happen here.
There is one question sports fanatics always ask themselves in sports. When it comes to the athletics, we are doing good, but when it comes to the football, we are...
Not true. Sports is not just football and athletics. I'm sorry. It's not. I think we brought back the safari rally. No, we brought back the safari rally. Motorsport is sports. Golf is actually sports. Volleyball is sports. Basketball is sports. Rugby is sports. Cricket, which was dead and we revived it, is sports, right? Athletics is, right? And so is football. And I think that the preoccupation, right, that one has with just certain sports is not right, because as a Ministry of Sports, you have to deal with everybody, yeah, in sports. You have to deal with the ensuring that everybody feels included and every sport feels appreciated, including swimming. Okay, we have tennis. And we have some really big names in tennis now, so you can't reduce it, and I think that's a really fundamental error. You cannot reduce sports to only 2 areas.
The argument is there are some areas that we are doing very well, performing very well, than some other areas.
Yeah, but, yes, like and that is true. That's true. That's true. That you perform, and that is in every part of the world. We perform better than everybody else in athletics except Ethiopia, right? Isn't it? Right? And you won't hear the Nigerians complaining and saying, "Oh my goodness, we're paying too much attention to short distance running, but we don't have long distance runners. We're useless." You don't hear any other country do that. We're better than Tanzania, and probably Tanzania is slightly better in football. but that's the only sport that they really are good at. For instance, they're good at swimming and others, but you really have to understand that there's comparative advantage in sports as well. You have countries that have the best swimmers in the world. Yeah, you have countries that have the best footballers. Yeah, I mean, you have countries that have the best tennis players. It depends on the facilities that you have in place. It also depends on historical factors, right?
Okay, I would like us to move to some personal questions, very short but personal questions. But before that, some people form some theories why you have been moved from the education to the sport.
Well, you can't. The one thing that you can't do is enter everybody's head and why are they thinking this way. I'll tell you this, that my being in sports brought a marathon to Kenya that is like the Berlin Marathon, like the New York Marathon, like the London Marathon. We never had it, right? And I think that it was wonderful that I was there and I could negotiate to bring a marathon here that would never have come. We have the equivalent of the Gold League, the Continental Tour, the Kip Keino Classic. We would never have had it. We were competing with South Africa and the US for it. Yeah? And I think that for me, those are things that I'm really, really proud of. The policies that I put in place, the conference that I had on gender equity, the stadiums that we were able to refurbish. So there's so many things that happen. And I think, look, we need to focus on positives. If you're continuously looking for a negative, you'll find it. It's not difficult. It's more difficult for you to have tell me, oh, by the way, when you're in sports, there's a marathon, there's a continental tour, the Olympics, the way that our athletes dressed, they'd never dressed like that before, that list, right? And say, so actually we're really happy that you were there because the change that happened was monumental, right? There were people there before me, and they did their bit. I have always said that whenever you move from a place, I would never turn back. I finish my bit and I move on. And I allow the other people to come in and do what they need to do to move the needle, right? We all have, it's a stage. You enter and you exit, and the next person is supposed to move the needle forward, And so going into people's minds to kind of think of, oh my goodness, why, how? We spend so much time doing that that we are left with no time to be constructive.
About the safari rallies, some people argue that why we host safari rallies, that we have the bad roads that are good for the safari rallies. Is that correct?
It's not true. It's historic. We're a safari rally country. We've had it before independence. Our roads was good, bad, but we had it since pre-independence days. We don't lose our heritage. I think that only people who do not value their history lose their heritage. You always must remember your heritage and the things that work for you. And I think the safari rally is a good image builder for our country. There is no other country on this continent that has a safari rally the way that we do.
And every country aspires to host safari rallies.
Now, across the continent, everybody has started their own rallies because they're hoping that we will falter and that they can step in and become the rally countries of the continent. There's nobody that has a safari to our standard. The one that was actually the closest was the Dakar rally. But the Dakar rally now is actually not being, it's not being held in Africa. It's held elsewhere. It maintains the name, but it's held elsewhere. And so we have it. We should protect it. We should improve it. We should be accountable, right? And do the right things by the rally. Because again, like all heritage monuments, all items of heritage, you hold it just for a time and you hand it to your children. Yeah? And we can't lose it before we give it back to those that have to come after us. We also inherited it. And it's because of the nostalgia that we all felt during the rally and that happened during Easter, that we wanted it back, and we got it back, right? And so now we should protect it. We should think of things, building things, increasing things, improving things. You don't have to put one down to support the other. You know, you don't have to do that. You don't have to put one person down to make the other one come up and shine. It doesn't work. It never does.
Now we will move to the last segment of our interview. That is the inspirational part or the mentorship part of the program. Number one, what would you say has been your biggest challenge in your 3-decade career?
Oh, it's been a good journey.
Challenge?
I've had a wonderful journey. I have learned a lot from every blessing that I got, from every opportunity that I got. The challenges, I think, were challenges that were handled as teams, right? Because they were not personal challenges. They were systemic challenges, and we came together as a system to handle them. But I have had a very blessed journey, and I am always grateful and always say Alhamdulillah that I've had this very unique journey for me, which started off in a small home in Kakamega, and ended up with me holding very, very important public offices in our country. I'm very grateful for that.
You have, if I'm not wrong, you have found a life foundation. You are the patron, and then I have realized the board members, all of them, except the CEO, are women. So tell us about a life foundation and why all the board members are women.
Actually, not all the board members are women. I think that the starting board members were women. And it was because the management had a lot of men in it. I think there are only 4 women, and the board is going to eventually have 9 board members. So obviously there's opportunities. We're talking to some other, others to come on board. But it's a foundation that is supposed to instill values, and it's supposed to support our young people. Learn about leadership qualities, learn about integrity, learn about how to be excellent and not accept mediocrity. Because I think I came across a lot of people that were just comfortable being at a certain level, and I felt that they had so much potential. Every young person has so much potential that they need to exploit. And they should not be limited by anything. We're all kind of born free. Nobody's born in a cage. Yeah, and you shouldn't accept anything to hold you back. I think you've been given the freedom by the Almighty, and you should use it to the full, potential that He also gave you. And so that's what I believe in. I believe that. And it was taught to me by my father that you should not limit yourself. You should always try and reach for the stars and do everything that you do, it doesn't matter how small it is, in an excellent manner. So that if somebody looked at something and said, oh my goodness, you placed this seat really nicely, you moved this carpet really nicely, do everything that you do to the best of your ability. And that's, I think, all that anybody can ask for.
In the interview, you have encouraged our viewers to put more energy on the positive side, and also to my question on challenges, the challenges that you have faced. You have said
lessons.
So I would like to know what make you stay motivated. What's that one thing?
Getting up every morning, very, very grateful. Every morning I wake up, I'm really grateful that I woke up and that I'm alive, and I'm grateful to the Almighty. And I, look at everything around me. And inhale. And inhale deeply.
One thing that you would like our ladies to learn from you, what is that? One thing.
I think work hard, have a goal, and really enjoy that journey. Make it count. Make the journey count. And it doesn't matter what you choose to do in the end. Everything is important. Everything is required. We are all cogs in a beautiful wheel. And we need everybody to do what they're doing the best that they can do. Right? So that as a collective we're able to make progress. So I want the ladies. I just want them to focus on what they really would like to achieve. You know, the deepest desires that they have. If somebody wants to be a doctor, be the best one that you can be. Let it never be said that you cut yourself short because you're a woman, that you did not achieve this because you're a woman, and that you are given this because you're a woman. I think that you should always earn your right to sit at the table.
Your last word to our viewers, especially youth and women.
Oh, the potential is great in the country. And I am excited by what our country can achieve. The potential is just beyond anybody's dream. And it didn't matter what we did. We always did everything well in the Kenyan way, and were successful. And so very, very proud to be Kenyan.